One of the things we've tried to do over the course of this pandemic is tell your stories. And sometimes these are tough stories. Our next guest lost a wife and mother to COVID-19 after she went to hospital to get treated for a fall. We welcome Mr. Steve Amadori onto the program. Mr. Amadori, thanks for coming on the show.
Welcome.
And we're also joined by your son, also Steve Amadori, Steve Jr. Steve, thanks for coming on.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
We'll start off with Steve Sr., Mr. Amadori. Why don't you tell me about your wife?
Oh. She is a caring person. It's a little raw for me, so you have to bear with me here.
Yeah.
She's a very caring person, fine soul, had good sense of humor, and basically, just loved life and so on. But she lived life on her terms, and for many, I suppose, and many reasons that are known to her, she chose to live a sedentary life towards the end of her life and didn't want to do too much, no physical activity, and so this did not, go well for her. But she managed to struggle through every day, and got up and lived like a normal person and so on. Then she fell.
How long were you two married, Mr.
We were
Amadori?
married for 42 years.
And she took a fall and then obviously had to go to the hospital. So did not go to the hospital due to COVID, went to the hospital for the fall. What happened from that point on?
Well, she fell in the morning, and I called my son and my daughter, and they came and helped me get her up. And we cleaned her up, and she cleaned herself up. And anyway, she went, sat in her TV room, and spent the day there. And came supper time, and I said to my wife, I said, well, come on in the dining room for supper. And she couldn't get out of the chair. And so I called my daughter again, told her I was having problems. She came over, and my son came over not long after. And we got her up, and she went into the washroom, and she fell again. And we couldn't get her up. And my washroom was a little tight, and I said, okay. So we called 911. When she got into emergency, the next day, we were informed that she had a blood infection. And they were leaning towards sepsis, and then when she went up on the ward, they ruled that out. She was responding to antibiotics and so on, and things were looking good. So.
And how long did she spend in the hospital? How long was she in the hospital for?
She went into the hospital November 23rd, and she died December 29th.
And when did you find out that she got COVID in the hospital?
About a week and a half or 2 weeks in, the doctor called me. The last time I actually saw my wife was they were taking her down to install a catheter in my wife, and it was a Friday afternoon, and the nurse came to see me and said, Mr. Amadori, you're going to have to leave because we have COVID in the hospital and they want everybody to leave. I said, okay, fine. I said goodbye to my wife, and I left. Sunday of that weekend, the doctor called me and said, there's no two ways to tell you this, Mr. Amadori, your wife has COVID.
Jeez.
So I said, well, okay. So we had told my wife, and by that afternoon, they were bringing her down to ICU. So that we three realized, my son, my daughter, myself realized that, well, this is not a good scenario, right? However, we chose to take all of the good news or the little positives that happened through the day, and we use those positives as a booster for us, and each day was a different day.
We're with Mr. Steve Amadori. He lost his wife, Catherine, after she went into the hospital after suffering a fall, ended up contracting COVID. Also joined by Mr. Amadori's son, also named Steve. Steve, let's bring you into this. I know about those phone calls about finding out your parent has had a fall. Can you tell us, Steve, from your perspective, take us through this process and take us through the events that led to your mother's unfortunate passing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, every time when you have a parent that may be prone to falling or has a health issue, every time the phone rings, it can be terrifying, right? And that particular day, I got a call in the morning from my dad, like you said, and I went over there just to see how things were going and what really happened. And when I got there, she'd been lying on the floor for quite some time. And I was like, well, what happened? How did this happen, right? And we spent time, diagnosing that and figuring that out, to working at, preventative measures going forward, right? And it stays with you, right? You're like, well, you sort of reevaluate how she's living her life. And that's sort of the conversation was revolving around there the course of that day. And then again, I think, once we sort of figured that out, it was like, okay, well, it's smooth sailing from now on. Let's make some changes to her life and make sure these things don't happen again. And sure enough, by the end of the day, my phone rang again, and I'm thinking to myself, well, you know what? Here we go again. What happened? And sure enough, she wasn't doing well, and went back over to the house. And again, from my standpoint, seeing your mom, just not being herself, it's terrifying, like I said, right? And you start thinking the worst. You start thinking, well, you know what? What's really wrong here? There's got to be an underlying issue here. And that's when the decision was made. Listen, let's get her up and walking and see if we can get her in the bathroom here and just to clean herself up and get a better understanding of what's going on, right? And that's when I guess the unthinkable happened. She actually fell while she was in the bathroom. And at that point, my dad and I both knew it's timeless, and let's call the paramedics here and get her to the hospital.
Now, Mr. Amadori, I think one of the reasons why you're willing to speak to us on this show is because, here in Quebec, we haven't started the vaccination programs for anyone really outside of either healthcare or in seniors' homes. And there are a lot of people in their 60s, 70s, 80s who still live at home and they haven't been vaccinated. And, I'm sure you're trying to let our audience know that we still need to take COVID-19 quite seriously.
If I can convince one person that COVID-19 is real, it's a relentless disease, and it steals your life, then my wife's passing is not for nothing. Her life means something. There's too many people out there, who are, complaining about the fact they feel that their personal freedom's been trampled on because they have to wear a mask and there's a curfew and there's all of these things and you're not allowed to go to the theater and so on. If I can have one person listen to this story and accept the fact that, COVID is real, then we've achieved something. It's that simple.
Steve Jr., I can't imagine what a tough time this has been for your family and to lose a parent. Is there anything that you'd like to add to what your father just said?
Yeah, I agree. I'm on social media, and I hear all kinds of stories and people's opinion about their rights being taken away and so on and so forth. And I look at it going, well, you know what? It's a small price to pay now to prevent your loved one from dying, right? And I think that people need to be a little self-aware here and understand that this is not, even though you feel fine and you're not worried about getting it, it's the fact that you may have this virus and be giving it to someone else unknowingly, right? And it's these type of things, these unknowns, that we need to bring to light and prevent these tragedies from happening again. So, I think that again, under these circumstances right now, losing a parent is, like I said, it's traditionally it's very dramatic and traumatizing and so on. Under these circumstances, it feels like it's enhanced and that much more painful, right? Because this could have been prevented, right?
Yeah. Mr. Steve Amadori and Steve Jr., thank you for coming on and sharing your story, and you have all of our condolences here at CJ 800. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's Steve Amadori, both a senior and junior, who just lost a wife and a mother due to COVID-19 after a stay in the hospital. We'll be back.